and welcome
Yeah.
to another episode of Ripping the Rack podcast. This is episode 100 and something. I don't know. 5,
And
3, 2,
70,
10, 70, 69.
167,
Who the hell
50. We're
knows?
we're just the longest running. That's all that matters.
That's it. That's it. Let's see. I am your host, Tim Matero. With me today, I have two guys from the north, one further north than the other. But let's introduce, coming across on my screen is Jill Wood. Don't know don't know what's up with that, but we know
I
where
want to be a
the
winner for once.
yeah. With us today is Tommy Wood. Tommy, how you doing, buddy?
Not too bad. How you doing, Timmy?
Great, doing good, great, good, grand. I don't know. It's Monday,
You're not bold.
and
You're
and
always
the
great.
King of the North, Calvin Locke, Locke,
Yes.
Calvin
Locke.
Locke.
Okay, lucky.
How you doing, buddy?
Tired right now, but
Yeah?
I'm good. Good.
Good.
Yeah. Enjoying
Uh,
the Red Sox season is almost over.
You kidding? Our
However,
season was over in June.
I know, but I mean like over.
Yeah, I know. Without us today, not joining us is Brian. Brian's father. Good news is came home from the rehab, skilled nursing on Saturday, so he is, helping his dad out and getting him back on track. So we wish Brian and Ray and Kelly and everyone else the best. And Brian will be joining us in a couple of weeks. Where we will have a more serious conversation. So, as I sit here, start laughing because I'm looking at Calvin, and that just makes me
But
laugh.
I know. I make everybody laugh.
So yeah, we will. We'll be having a more serious conversation in a couple of weeks. But for tonight, we've got some bowling topics, and then we have our top 10, courtesy of Tommy, our top 10 sports dynasties that all have Timatera in them. Good luck with that one.
Tim Matero's head, Tim Matero's arm, Tim Matero's leg.
How far back are we allowed going?
Yeah, well,
Find old Timmy yesterday on a dynasty. Jeez.
God, you gotta go old school on that one. Calvin,
Yes, sir.
talk about Canada.
Canada. There was a tournament this weekend. Who? We don't need to talk about it. Corey won. Who cares? Nobody wants
Wait.
to talk about Corey winning anything.
Which Corey? Corey Jones?
No, Corey Smith.
I know. I was trying not to say the name.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Corey Jones won. Yeah.
Nice.
If we switch the S and the J on the scoreboard, Corey Jones won.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was the King of the Hill.
Well, it ended up being just a regular singles tournament. Corey didn't get enough interest that he wanted for people who wanted to pay the extra to get in, I guess. So he's talking about now doing maybe like a 5 out of 7 or something that you show up to every one of them if you want. Like we could put on 9 or 11, but they only take your best 5 results. That's what you get for points. So makes it interesting, makes people not have to show up every month just to get the points.
Okay.
Right? So there's less commitment. Like, if you think about it, if you're spending the extra money to get in and you're spending the $40 to $50 each time to get points, because I had to be there every time. I was there every month and I still didn't make playoffs. So I missed the one time I missed, and that was the one that cost me playoffs. So yeah, you have to show up to every one if you're not winning them at least once or twice.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it is a little bit of a commitment if it's not worth it. So this one might be a little different where you only have to show up to 5 of them, and if you have enough points after your 5, then you need to worry about it, right? So it'll be good. I like this idea a little bit more better. Maybe we get more people to show up. It's only once a month, so Tommy, Jill, just saying, you guys could come down and
Donate our money.
I guess. Yeah. No, you wouldn't donate money.
Yeah, no, we'll be
do
down. We'll be down. I'm just teasing. We'll be down.
So, Tommy, is anything going on in the St. John Valley Any
don't have to-
tournaments? Anything?
Don't have to be the only one to talk about this. This is great.
Well, you might have to be. I wouldn't know. We honestly, my ball season just wrapped up there last weekend. So like we played provincial in the
Yeah.
provincials there a little bit ago. So I haven't even started my leagues yet, but I do know down at Fairview they have like just weekend tournaments and things like that every other weekend. So there's always something local going on, but nothing that really pushes outside the greater St. John area. Nothing too notable, but a lot of fun, good crew, and it's a good way to spend $20 and hobnob with people doing a 369 or some, little daytime fun stuff.
Cool.
Nothing major.
Okay. Upcoming stuff.
Not
God, I
really.
gotta be honest. I have no idea
Honestly,
what is upcoming. Like I
I
tried
don't
to
either.
find.
When they announced when Paul posted, the results of the ladder, I'm like, what ladder? What do you mean? There was a ladder? Who qualified? When was this qualification? What? I thought we were talking about a qualification that's coming up in October. Like, there's so much going on. I can't even keep up. I don't even
That
know.
and therein lies part of the problem down here. Is there is a tournament every single weekend
Guarantee it
somewhere,
somewhere.
and it's not. And I'm not talking about a small little best box in Belfast, because they run that almost every Friday. They run some type of 9-pin best box, something fun, almost
Right.
every Friday night. I'm talking an actual tournament with decent payouts and everything else. Is there's almost one every weekend,
Yeah.
and it's a bitch to keep up with.
Yeah.
I will tell you, we do have the third and final stop of the Triple Crown Series. That is coming up at Leda Lanes this Saturday, October 1st at 11 a.m. This is the 20 stringer. It's $150 to enter. Reach out to Leda Lanes and let Lexi know if you're going to make it. You can bring cash day of. Matt Susi has the free entry into this this event from winning the 10 stringer.
Did we find out if he won both? Did he win both? Did we find that out? I don't know if anybody told us.
Well, I don't think anyone told us, because
No, I don't think so either.
I don't know. So I don't know. I don't know if we won both. So that is coming up. I would love to give you Pro Series results, but apparently asking was too much trouble.
Yeah.
Someone got yelled at because it was on Saturday and they asked today, and they were like, "We took yesterday off. It was a busy." Okay, relax. Just saying.
Yeah.
It would have been cool to give those results. The only thing I know is congratulations goes out to Steve Reno Jr. and Dan Schwinard.
Yeah.
From my understanding, they did win
Yeah, they
the
beat
Pro Series doubles.
Dave and Jimbo, and if I can remember correctly, I believe Dave hit both of his shots, and then I think Reno fair in the 10th. Feel it, I think, is what it was.
Wow.
So
Yep.
yeah, it was a good match. They were tight the whole way. It was really good. I think it was 6 pins going into the back 5 between Reno and Dave and Godwin.
Wow.
So yeah, it was close the whole way. Yeah, really good match, and even there was a lot of good matches, because even the quarterfinals that we watched, because the semifinals was all the way over at the other end. Quarterfinals, I think both matches were down to the last box, and then they had a roll off on the lanes beside us. And then that match was, I think it was 269 to 258 or something like that. Like, it was basically 130s. Like, it was a crazy, like 2-3 hours of bowling. It was a lot of good bowling.
I know the qualifying scores were a little low.
Okay.
I think 11. It was like 11-10 or 11-0 something was the last qualifying spot.
Okay.
Which, I mean, I don't know if that's a product of, Bowling at Academy, which it's funny. It's one of my, I really love to bowl there. I do. it's a tough house, though.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say that. I find it to be a tough house, but
Right.
then again, lately I find everything to be a tough house. So
Yeah, I know
They
how
still
you
have the
feel.
real gutters.
yes,
Good.
yep.
Good.
We had the Candlepins for Cancer live TV show was yesterday at Bolorama in Portsmouth. Some massive scores.
So much so. Holy smokes. Like two 169s?
Yeah, I know
Two
Keith
430s?
Beaupre had a huge match in the first one against Winchell. I think he had a 457 triple in that.
And only won by like 60 pins?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, they
yeah,
both
yeah,
went around. Like
yeah.
Beaupre was up, 457, and Winchell was close to 400, I think.
Yeah, I think he was 398.
Corey Packard, the next match, again, turns around and throws a 451 at Keith. So it was like, there you go, buddy.
Yeah.
No. I don't know the rest of the scores. I just know that Nate Lees defeated Corey, and then Nate bowled the number 1 seed Jimbo and won by 6 pins in the finals. So I know it was a close match. Those are all on the Candlepin Bowling Network, where you can subscribe free. Just like Ripping the Rack podcast is on YouTube, that you can subscribe free.
Wow.
As well as Spotify and all that good stuff. The WON out of New York is actually airing the Tom Olster Peter Flynn match this week in Brooklyn, New York. So they will be showing that down there.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's see what else we got going on.
The qualifyings.
Oh yeah, yep. So the next 2 Candlepins for Cancer qualifying rounds, one will include a women's live show, but the next qualifying will be Tuesday, October 11th, Thursday, October 13th, Saturday, October 11th at 11 and 2, and Sunday, October 16th.
I think that got screwed up.
I think that's screwed up.
I think it's supposed to be the 15th or the 14th. Or the 15th. Saturday.
I am I'm sorry, folks. Not only can I did read that correctly.
Yeah, you did read it correctly. Yeah, he wrote it wrong. So it's the 11th, the 13th,
the
15th,
gentleman
and the 16th.
that goes by the name of Paul Grant sent us some wrong information. How dare he? So we've got October 11th, Tuesday, October 11th, Thursday, October 13th, Saturday, October 15th, and Sunday, October 16th. Qualifying's at Bolorama in Portsmouth. The live TV show will be December 18th at 11 a.m. in Portsmouth. You can register at candlepinsforcancer.com. And then the women's will have their own show, qualifying rounds at Big 20 in Scarborough on Tuesday, November 29th, Thursday, December 1st, Saturday and Sunday, December 3rd and 4th, with the live TV show being taped on Saturday, January 14th. And again, all qualifying rounds and live TV shows will be broadcast on the Candlepin Bowling Network, where you can register at candlepinsforcancer.com. And the last thing I got, and then we can
dive into it,
because I got a couple of questions for Tommy. So,
okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, I've got some. I'm what they call a surprise journalist. I like to just surprise.
Shoot it. Just shoot it where it hits. Yeah.
Whatever. Apparently the $10,000 golden raffle. They're selling 200 tickets. Each ticket is $100. Winner will receive $10,000. Candlepins for Cancer receives $10,000. Go to Candlepin chat or message Deb Regan. That's cool. What I got.
Nice.
And I was trying to think. I do actually one quick thing here. As soon as can I go on record as saying I can't stand the way Facebook has changed. When you have 2 different profiles, your personal and then a business one, it just screws it all up.
Yeah, seniors have a hard time with that. Are you 55
I like
yet?
This guy. I like this guy. We should get him on more often.
I am 51. I am not a
Oh,
senior.
I thought. Sorry, man. I actually legit thought. Okay, my bad.
Oh, he's definitely a
You can
senior.
understand the mistake, though.
Oh, absolutely. I
When
understand.
your prime
the
was in
mistake.
the 80s, I mean.
I didn't even start bowling adults until the 90s.
Oh, okay. You turned pro in the 90s. Got it.
Actually,
Okay.
89.
You set me straight.
89,
89.
90.
There you go.
Yeah,
See?
there we go. One second here. Let's see. Friday night,
Really,
I will say, Chris Winiar's, our resident Harry Potter, wanted me to mention that Jeff Bougia threw a massive 165 at Central Friday en route to a 390.
oh, I thought he wanted to
But-
mention that he had a 400.
but-
Oh,
He kicked his ass with a 166 and a 402. So
okay.
Harry Potter, there you go, buddy. I got you. You made
I-
he made the show.
I enjoy the trash talk. I enjoy it. Props, Harry Potter. Props.
Let's see. One sec.
You know what really grinds my gears
Oh no,
is that
yeah, what?
is
What's
that
up?
somebody had to take one of our blue shirts, so we couldn't have blue shirt, blue shirt, blue shirt. We had to have blue shirt, boring gray shirt.
Womp womp.
I know. I was just really annoyed. I hate like we were so happy we're gonna go blue, 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 but no, we went blue, blue, pretty gray.
Yeah, I hate winning in gray. God,
Right?
that's
I know. You need to win in blue. Blue for Saturday, red for Sunday. If you're bowling a tournament and you're bowling on Sunday, always got to wear red. It's just a thing.
Joe would agree with that. I wouldn't know.
Tiger Sunday. Which
I,
leads us into our top 10.
Not
Let's
yet.
go
Well,
with
Skinny said he had some
Dynasty.
questions. I got one for him.
I got questions.
I got a question for you.
All right, you go ahead. I'll let our guest ask first question. Who's the question?
That ball you got under your lamp, what's that? The baseball that's
The baseball? That is an autographed ball by Louis Tiant.
I don't know if you can see in my background, I have one too. That's my unassisted triple play. I was gonna say if we had two of those in the same spot, I'd be pretty impressed. But
And then we have an autographed.
I was 9, by the way, in case anybody was wondering.
Yeah. Jesus.
Nobody cares.
I got Jason Veritek right there, autographed Jason Veritek,
I can get behind
autographed
that.
Dave Andrews, and then I got right there. Sweep the
What
leg,
is that?
Johnny. That's Johnny Lawrence.
Oh no way! Good for you,
That's
Cobra
Zepka.
Kai's awesome. We're like at episode 6 of season 5 right now.
I finished it. I binged it. So I
Yeah.
have been on record as saying Johnny Lawrence was the true winner of Karate Kid.
Yep.
I've gone on record and said that. Daniel LaRusso cheated. The number one rule that they said was no strikes to the face, and he won with a crane kick to the face. So
We agree on something.
William Zebka, who plays Johnny Lawrence,
Yeah.
actually signed it and said, to Tim, you're the best around from the real Karate Kid.
That is amazing, buddy.
Yeah.
Jealous
So
of that. Not gonna lie. Good for you. Jill's gonna tune in just for that. She's not ignore me. She's gonna go right to that picture.
Well, she should.
Yeah.
She should. So, question for you
Yeah.
was during kind of the beginning of the pandemic, you had created this massive file in this simulation.
I did.
So, what everyone truly wants to know is, did I win?
You didn't, and actually, it's kind of depressing. Neither person who ended up in the finals are with us anymore. Mylan beat Trevor Smith.
Mylan,
I
what?
swear to God, Mylan beat Trevor Smith. I swear to you, and if you don't believe me, Jill's on the couch.
No,
She's nodding her head.
Oh, I believe you.
Yeah.
Brian and I had this conversation one night talking about that simulation when you posted the first part of it.
Yeah.
And we just, number one, the massive amount of data that it took to do that. and the
Yep.
time and stuff. It was cool. It was kind of neat to look back and just really see. I had no qualms that I was going to win because, as I told Calvin before we even went on air, I said, I'm guessing because I qualified really high in that. And I
Yeah.
said, yeah, it's like a typical roll off. I'm going to qualify really high, and then I'm going to get beat in the first or second round because someone's going to throw a backdoor strike against me. And that's probably what happened.
I have the back end of it recorded somewhere, but like it took off with hypothetical dream matches, and I didn't want to steal anybody's thunder afterwards. And then I actually employed in pseudo government, so we got real busy with pandemic response. By the time I had time to sit down and actually like post it, it was kind of out of fashion. But I should go back and actually just for fun post the back end of that recording.
That'd be pretty cool. I thought it was cool. I really enjoyed seeing everyone on there, not just like I just thought it was
spelled
really
wrong. I had like 2 Kevin Grattons. There are a lot of mistakes. People, every little typo I made, people were pointing it out, and I made one intentional one that Calvin caught when I go. There's a skit where I'm saying that people should have responsibilities. I spelled responsibilities wrong, and the only person to pick up on that was Calvin. He's like, you spelled responsibilities wrong. Like that's the only one I meant to. Everybody else picked up on every other spelling mistake I made. It was terrible. But anyway, yeah, a lot of fun.
No, that was cool. How just out of curiosity, how long did something like that roughly? How long did something like that take you?
Oh, the video took no time. I mean, the video, we're locked in our houses, so the video probably took like 4 hours of editing, and there's no scripting. I just kind of sat down and off the top of my head, I'm just bored. Jill and Violet were out in the living room playing, so video took about 4 hours. Keying in all the stats 20 minutes after each term. I just got like a big Excel spreadsheet where I can, as soon as you have a bowler ID, I can just go in, pop in what you did for the day. And then when I was like, I'm an economist by heart, right? So what I would end up doing, I try to figure out for sports betting purposes and find out, which teams perform well in which situations. So I have this big algorithm that takes big data sets from pro sports and it'll distill it down into situational adaptiveness, like what teams perform well in what scenarios, day games, night games, with a player sitting out against certain defense for football. And so I just basically took the logic from it and I applied it to Candlepin Bowling to generate it. The logic around the sports betting app took I couldn't even tell you. It's just been chipping away at it since 2002, and so it's been 20 years of just kind of working on it and refining it. But the process of like loading all that information in, I think I did it in like a day end to end. So yeah, less time than you'd think. But you're on mute, Calvin.
You're on mute, Calvin.
The best version of Calvin, muted Calvin.
Yeah, I am muted. I forgot about that. I said you gotta take the both of them and post them.
Both what?
Both videos. Like you gotta post them again. You gotta finish them.
Yeah. I'll re-up the first one, or I'll stitch them together and put the front with the back.
Yeah. No, it's so I'm a kind of a stat geek at heart. Like I've always I still remember growing up, obviously, because I'm not 105 like Tommy thought I was. Getting up in the morning and kids, there was something called the newspaper.
Yep.
And we got it delivered every day. So, like my stepfather was one of the editors of the Portland Press Herald, which is the largest paper in the state. So every night he'd come home and he brought the paper with him. So I'd wake up in the morning and as I'm eating my breakfast, I'm reading the sports page and I'm going to, all the stats. Because you open it up and there it is, and I'd look down through and say, okay, Boggs was, 2 for 4, his batting average went up to, so I'm a little bit of a stat geek. So it's kind of those types of spreadsheets and those types of stuff is fun for me. So yeah. So when
next time you're down, come over and I'll show you. Like I've got a bowling shrine. Oh, it's not a bowling shrine; it's more like a sports shrine. I've got a lot of stuff. It all dates back to honestly, like my father was involved in he general managed Kegglers and Fairlanes, and they always had sports pools. and he would sit down after work with his ledger book and he'd put in everybody's picks and what have you. And the mechanism of doing that night after night after night kind of made it so that you could ask him, like, I could sit there and be like, oh yeah, I remember when Pittsburgh beat Tampa Bay 2 years ago. I'd be like, no, they didn't. They lost 28-17. It cost Gerald the $50 pot. Like, just like that.
Yeah.
So it was so I could have sports conversations with my dad. I could be like, oh, well, I'm going to start just dumping a lot of info in. And eventually I've never gotten to his point of proficiency, but I could at least hold a conversation with him about different things. But anyway, yeah, that's where it dates back from.
No, and again, with bowling, there's just so many different stats that you can look at.
Yeah.
Especially Candlepin Bowling.
Yeah.
That, I've always said it'd be, I wished I had kept track. I'd wished I'd trying to think of who it is that keeps every string that they've ever bowled.
In the States or in Canada?
States. Is it Mark Gregory? Did Mark do that?
Can't remember.
That'd be incredible if he did.
Like, I sit back and I'm like, how cool would it be
to look at every string you ever bowled?
To look at every string and be like, and input this into a database, whether it's an Access database or an Excel data, something, and be like, I wonder how often I've hit the head pin. Like, what is truly my percentage of head pin hits versus object pin hits? Because what I tell people when they ask me for advice and just general advice and stuff like that is, I tell them not to worry so much about score as much as it is to worry about object pin. Because if you're hitting your object pin and you're throwing it where you want to go, your score is more than likely going to relate to that. More than likely.
That's why I stink. Oh, okay.
That's why you're so bad.
That's why Jill is so good.
Yeah, okay. It explains both.
It does. But I always thought it would be so cool to be like, you know what? When I look down through and be like, wow, the best box, or so to speak, in 10 is my third box, and start, well, why is that? Then you sit back and say, well, you've had a couple of boxes to warm up, so now, I don't know. I get thinking these types of things.
No, for sure.
Dude, there's so many things you could dive into. Like Chris Ryder and I took, over one summer, we started diving into different bowling stats. And one of the concepts that came up was called relative value. And what it basically, to like bring it down 5 or 6 notches. All right, so imagine Calvin, you bowled out of Kingswood for years, right? Would you agree that right now Kingswood's harder than Fairlands?
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
Significantly, right?
100%.
So what relative value does is it was a number that is assigned to, okay, if you bowled at Kingswood, you're expected to carry 116 average. If you go on the road, what are you expected to do when you go to each house? And what we found was people who bowl at harder houses when they go on the road bowl a lot better, like to the tune of like upwards of 6 or 8 pins on average when going to a tournament. People who bowled at easy houses, even when they went on the road and went to an easy house, their average would drop just for whatever reason. And if they went to a hard house, it could be like a -12, -15 pin swing in their average. So we would kind of sit there, and if you think back to the last Worlds where before Chris won with Kingswood, we're with Chris Poveresny, and I think we had Dave Cooper, Clayton Matheson. We're kind of like an island of misfit toys. A lot of good individual bowlers, but first time bowling as a team.
2018.
It was in Canada, so I don't remember the odd and even years.
Was that in Moncton?
Yeah. 2017.
Might have been 16 or 18.
Okay. No, wasn't it Fredericton 15 when it was you and Andy? We beat you guys on Saturday. You beat A+ in the. Or are you bowling with Chris Ryder at this point?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's an odd. It would have been an odd number, so it would have been
an odd number.
It would have been 15 or 17, I think.
Yeah, all that to say, we end up. I mean, if you just look at talent level, no one would put us in the conversation for taking a shot to bye, but we missed the bye by 7 pins. Brian Mayer threw a triple. end up killing us. But
Oh yeah.
the team was kind of designed in large part around who, when they come to Fairlanes, is going to stink less. Like when we're thinking about who to pick up and who to kind of add to the roster, knowing that the pins were going to run so fast that, you know, we didn't. So we deliberately kind of picked people who bowl that hard house. Anyway, long story short, when you come to Moncton next time, just taking a look at some of the way we slice and dice stuff is kind of, it serves nobody but myself and Chris and Jill, but it's a lot of fun to just kind of look at and be like, really? Things you wouldn't expect.
Now, when you, because that's, to me, that's cool, because being a golfer,
yep,
there's the GIN, your golf handicap index.
Yep.
Which is different for every course that you play. So this is leading me down the path of there is potential with this to create a true handicap index for Candlepin Bowling.
And we should have that.
Yeah. The only variable is when a house replaces their pins, you reset the averages for that house, because it totally throws everything into whack.
Which is what Kingswood is right now.
Yeah, exactly. So it takes about 5 years for everything. And this is proven over 20 years of stat. It takes about 5 years for the averages to kind of normalize. They don't get back up to where they were when the pins were mushroomed, but they get back up to a point where they're at least stable and they're not, you know, the pins being so hard, it's also wrecking people's confidence. So how much of that is the pins? How much of that is a confidence issue? You know, when out-of-town bowlers come to bowl on a lane that has new pins, or if they went to KV and bowled it, KV for a long time is arguably the hardest house in the province.
In the province, and probably both. I don't think I've ever seen a harder house than KV.
You'd be hard pressed when, you know, I was bowling in a tournament that had Corey Smith, Matt Cormier, Claude Chevery back when Claude was 130 average, and high average like 114, something like that, for, you know, a 27 string tournament.
Yeah.
You're gonna be hard pressed to find a hard house. Yeah,
that's tough. That's not. It's not fun for anyone when it's.
I think so. We have our mixed provincials. We used to have it at least every year, and KV was one of the houses. And I think the highest average I've ever seen was, I think Adam Melanson had 117.2 or something. The highest average I've ever seen in that house.
Wow.
Yeah. And he would have to have been like zombie brained to do that. Where,
like
he'd pull out of his mind to get there.
Yeah.
So did you also have it kind of, because the other thing with Candlepin, and I don't know if this really applies to any other type of bowling, I'm sure it does, but you have if you're talking on a team or doubles or something, you have your pressure spots. You know, you get down into the 9th and 10th box and things like that. Did you ever look back at, because to me that would be cool as well, as to look back and go, how did I perform in, call it a high pressure leverage situation?
Yeah, Chris would be geeking out if he was it. He'd be somebody to have on this with me one day. But one of the stats we came up with, we couldn't go box by box. So we don't have the stats that goes down to how did Tommy finish, thank God, in the 9th and 10th box and post match. But what we did have is, how do you perform in strings that are fewer than 5 pins difference in the match, fewer than 10 pins difference in the match, more than 30 pins difference in the match. And you do see their bowlers kind of fall into archetypes. There's certain bowlers who are front runners, up 30, down 30. Sorry, Andy. But, you know, you see the bigger games happen in those situations, and you see other people who so 140 seem to happen when it's a 5-pin game or fewer, right? Also, what we did, you mapped out bowler life cycles. You have, again, bowlers who kind of come in, arc up quickly, and then kind of fade slowly. Think about Brian Bernatch's type, or Craig Holbrook type. Those are two people whose careers statistically have followed a very, very oddly similar pattern. You look at just them by the numbers, a computer wouldn't know the difference between Brian Bernatchis and Craig Holbrook. That's not an insult to anybody. But then you have somebody else who might have 2 or 3 good years and then all of a sudden regress, and have a couple pretty decent years and then regress. So you can actually kind of project what is somebody likely to do over the next 5 years based on bowlers who have had similar paths. And I mean, we're using this in bowling, but the context of the tool more broadly is like for fantasy football, fantasy baseball,
Right.
You're taking behaviors, you're breaking them down to actions. You're saying, okay, how can I predict what's going to happen based on who these people are, what the environment is, what the situation is. So I just took a tool, bastardized it to put it to Candlepin Bowling, and the stats are spotty. Like I bowled a lot, 2001, 2002, 2003, very little 4, 5, and 6. So I've got the stats as able to scrounge together. But then from like 7 onward, we're pretty competitive, and then from 15 onward, there's noteworthy I've got it, but the smaller stuff, no. But yeah, anyway, that's kind of the architecture of the tool that was used. It really wasn't a bowling turn. And then I built a simulator on the back end of it, and that the spirit of that was just mainly for fun. We'd have people over, and we'd all throw a quarter in the middle, being like, all right, who's gonna win this, simulated NBA season, and just kind of like for jokes. And you'd see Joel Embiid wins MVP. Okay, something went wrong, but anyway. Yeah.
No, that to me that's cool. That again, that's the stat geek with bowling. That I don't know. I've just always enjoyed.
I wish I had some of that. Like I wish I had, because there's one stuff that I'm watching now because I have I have our 2015 finals, but the match before that I had 460, and like I'd love to see that match. Like I'd love to see how good I really was and stuff like that. And then
that was against McLaughlin, right?
Yeah, against
Cody Burke.
Yeah, I had 464 or something like that. Like I
do have a little bit of Barry in me.
Yeah, a little bit. And then like 2019, we had the last 2 boxes, but that whole match came down to 1 pin in the last 2 boxes, and we were open 4-3. Like it's those things that I wish I had, and I wish I had the pictures and the memories and the everything from it. Like I wish I had all that stuff, because you can look with professional sports, you can look at all that. You can go back and see the 2014 how the Red Sox won, because it's all on somewhere. Like you can go back and see when the Yankees were good in the 90s. You can go back and see all this stuff, but you can't see this stuff on Candlepin Bowling. Like we have stuff now, like we have little videos now that it's getting more popular, and now that we have Facebook Live and all this stuff. But like it wasn't back then. I'd love to see McLaughlin win 5 in a row. I'd love to see.
I don't.
I'd love to see. I'd love to see Tim. I'd love to see Tim's 4-7 pocket and makes the strike.
Oh my God! I so want to see that again.
Right?
Oh,
like,
God, I
would
love
mean,
that's
we,
that's
and
the
I mean,
best backdoor strike I've ever thrown.
Right, and sorry to hurt Chip Carson's feeling, but we do have the video of him plucking out 2 to lose the Worlds by 1 pin. Like we have that, but I wish I could see the whole string and have everything all like. We don't have that stuff. I wish we did.
I would love to be able to go back and see some of the matches that I've had, good and bad. Just to see, it's funny as Brian has asked me more than once, like some of my favorite memories and favorite matches, and invariably some of my favorite matches are ones that I may have ended up losing, but it was such a fun match.
Yeah.
Like my match against
Mixed Worlds Finals. Honestly,
great match. It was a great match.
And there's really it's the worst part. Even when you lose, you're upset about losing, but you can't be upset about how it happened. Like
no, I'm not.
It's great. It really is.
I have been a huge proponent of you win as a team and you lose as a team. There is no one person in a team event that loses it for you. And to anyone that comes back and says, well, it's Morrison's fault because he didn't throw a mark in the 9th or 10th. Well, no, it's not. I missed an 8-pin drop in the 9th. Fucking wired. Held onto the ball, threw it left. I make that, and we've got a 20-something pin lead versus a 17-pin lead.
There's 48 boxes that come before the last 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
And nobody remembers the person who threw away the 3rd ball, staring down 3 pins and got a 7. They remember the shot in the 9th or the 10th, but that's recency bias. Yeah, of course you remember the last thing that happened, but So many times people give up in the middle and then realize they have a chance at the end and then blame the end. You lost in the middle. Like not
Yeah.
you personally, but
No,
so
no.
many times that plays out.
But I would love to go back and see, you know, it's funny we talk about that backdoor strike, but you don't talk about the fact that it was, you know, through 390 in the match.
Yeah.
You know, Morrison went 400 in that match. You know, the match before Morrison was 390 and I was 420. I mean, no one, you don't think about that. You just think about, like Tommy said, the end.
Yeah.
One of the biggest missed opportunities for the bowling community was not trying to, like when Matt Cleveland stepped away from the sport and the Land of Stuff website kind of wound down to a certain degree. It was a real missed opportunity for the bowling community not to kind of pool together and offer financial support to keep that going, and maybe through some licensing agreement or, you know, the CCBA or ICBA did anything of note in that area to acquire that software so that people could log and record stats and have kind of like you guys are talking about a forensic record of what happened. Because so often you remember the winner, but you don't remember what led up to it. And the great thing about that Land of Stuff site was you could go on and you could, you know, when I first started bowling, MT&T was asserting themselves as being dominant. And I remember hearing the stories, but kind of like not having the context. And I went on Matt's website and I started looking and you'd see, you know, Rob Henderson throw 460 in the semis to get by, you know, in a shootout match. It was 2011 to, you know, 2003 or something crazy like that. And you're sitting there thinking like, how is that even possible? Like that's cartoonish. It's not realistic. All that's gone now. So what you have is other ways of kind of, but it's 2022. There really should be a site where you go, you enter your, you know, long story short, that was a big missed opportunity. And Matt, if you're listening or if anybody shares this with them, dude, revive the website and give me a call. We'll figure out a way to make it worth your while to do, as long as you're being reasonable. Because that thing was a gift from the gods, and it just got squandered. Enough people to try to keep it alive.
And I more than once went back and looked at some of those matches that I remember, whether it was my match, you know, one of our matches, like we had one with McLaughlin during the round robin where we went 2060 and they were 2010 and they lost all 8. Like you bowl 2000 and you lose all 8. Like,
yeah,
I mean, but some of those, I don't know. It would be cool.
Tony LeBlanc coming out of retirement he was retired for 8 years with 1 year's worth of practice under his belt, goes to Worlds, wins high average over Mike Morgan, but he throws 11 400 or 10 400s to do it.
Yeah.
And nothing over 410. Just it was 394 was his low match and 408 was his high. Like just ridiculous. I mean, but gone.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was. Man, it was fun back then. I know that was before both your time, but oh my God, I am so lucky to have been that Charlie asked me to bowl when he did, because that's things that I've been able to do and see. I mean, oh my God, some of the bowl, like just I was able to watch both Mark Gregory and Craig Holbrook bowl 505. I don't know. It's cool. It's fun.
Pretty cool.
So let's go through real quick because we teased it. So let's talk top 10 sports dynasties. Now, these are not, you know, the recognized leaders. What these are our individual top 10s that we would have.
And this is done within the hour, folks. So
Yeah.
We just didn't know what we were gonna do tonight because we're down a person. I called 4 people. Three of them called me back, just trying to get ideas, and we ended up getting a hold of Tommy, and that's what we came up with. So this is gonna be fun.
So how do we want to do this? Do we want to each give our individual top 10, or do we want to start with number 10, go through 3, and then go down to 9 and do?
We'll go 10. Yeah, we'll go like we usually do: 10, 9, 8, 7,
All
6,
right.
5.
Go ahead, Calvin.
All right. Just because I wanted to put it in there because we're bowlers and who cares? And I put McLaughlin Truck and Trailer as my number 10 dynasty. 6 out of 7 years, and however long they were still dominant, and then came back. And I mean, the team was different, but 2013 they came back and won it still without Robbie Henderson, and even beat Robbie's super team in the semifinals after the bye. Oh yeah, that's great. Like, couldn't write a better story than that. So that's my number 10.
Tommy?
Golden Age Yankees. So the reason why they're number 10, I know they were the most dominant baseball team in history to many people who are like curators of the game. But when you're hitting home runs on people who are bagging groceries on the weekend, I'm sorry. The Yankees are one of the few teams that were paid professional athletes touring the country to play against some people who they played college ball and things like that, but they were making that day's equivalent of just barely over minimum wage. So how dominant they were, but for the lack of legitimate competition, Golden Age Yankees are my number 10.
My number 10 is the San Francisco 49ers from 1981 to late 90s. Pains me to say it, I am not a Joe Montana fan, but damn, were they fun to watch in the 80s. So that's my number 10.
Solid.
Nice.
Tommy, what's your number 9?
My number 9. And again, this is kind of a half-loaded dynasty, but the Big Red Machine, Cincinnati Reds. Again, very dominant. Nobody can question that. If they played in a more competitive age, they'd be much higher on the list. But when you're playing against a bunch of people who are on methamphetamines and hard narcotic drugs, you can only get so many points for that. So, yep, Big Red Machine.
All right. My number 9, and I'm going to throw up a little. I'm going to throw up a little.
I'll go.
No, I'm going, and then you go.
No, because then you go last, and then you go first.
Oh, fine. Go ahead. Steal it.
No,
Take
fine.
my thunder.
You go ahead. No,
Nope.
you go ahead. 9.
ahead,
You're
Calvin.
gonna throw up a little. Nope, I don't want to anymore.
Okay, I am going to throw up a little in my mouth and go with the LA Lakers of 1976 through. I actually included the Lakers of the 2000s in this as well, so it's kind of a
split dynasty.
Split dynasty. So you got the mid to late 70s to the early 90s, and then you have the 2000s with Kobe and Shaq and whatnot. So
fair.
I will go with the Showtime Lakers as my number 9.
Nice.
Calvin, who do you have as number 9?
Darling, I will take number 9. My number 9 is the San Antonio Spurs, the old Popovich and Duncan and Robinson, basically from 2000 to 2014, never missed the playoffs, won 2, 3 championships, I think, 2. I think they won 2 or 3. Yep. Yeah, multiple championships. 14 years of basically just winning, and I think, except for a few years up against the Lakers, they were number 1 or number 2 every year. So that was my number 9.
Okay. I will start the round of 8. I have, and again, I'm going to throw up a little bit in my mouth, and it pains me to say this. I have split dynasty. It's the New York Yankees from the right around the late 40s to 1963, and then again from 96 to 2010.
You're rolling both together?
I am.
Yeah, I know.
Wow. Okay.
Not
all
even.
Right.
I am. Only because I'm only putting them on here once, so I will include both dynasties. Considering I wasn't going to have them on here at all, and then I was like, come on, even a true diehard Red Sox fan has to put the Yankees on a top 10 sports dynasty list. Just saying.
All right. We go number 8?
Yeah, why not?
I got the Gretzky Edmonton Oilers as my number 8. 5 out of 6 years. Yes, 5 out of 7 years. Stanley Cup champions. There's basically nothing else more to say. They just young team, one guy and one big guy to protect them, and that's all they needed for 5 years. So that would be mine.
This one, might be a little off the beaten path because one person gets all the recognition, but the U.S. Postal Service Tour de France team. And right away, what you need to understand.
Actually, that's not a bad. That's not a bad
Calvin thinks it is.
Well,
So,
Calvin's an idiot. So
Lance Armstrong was the generational talent, kind of stood in front. But if anybody puts any baseball teams from like 92 until 2004 or 5 in this list at all, with the PEDs and everything that's coming out of baseball then, it would be super hypocritical to say, oh, Lance Armstrong, steroids, because the entire field was doing it. And they were the Tiger Woods of the sport.
Yes.
Lance Armstrong was the face of it, but it took a team. Lance Armstrong with a crappy team, doesn't post the times as a collective whole to go ahead and bring home the yellow jersey every year. So U.S. Postal Service is my next entry.
No, I just love that you went into the U.S. Postal Service. That's what I was laughing at. Not even the fact that you're just like Lance Armstrong Tour de France. Like that's good. That's all you could have said. But you went into the U.S. Postal Service team.
Tommy, take number 7.
Okay, this is where I have slotted the 80s 49ers. What?
What was Tim's number 8? I must have missed it. I must have blanked.
I think he let off.
I had the Yankees. I let off with
the Yankees. He just wants you to say it again.
I know it.
One more time. Yankees, Jeter. That's gonna be our new bowling champ for Tim. This is where I have the 80s 49ers. Montana and Young, you have continuity, you have the 80s was legitimization of the NFL, you had the USFL shutting down, so all the talent, well, you make the argument that it began during the, but the USFL shutting down, so Herschel Walker and all of them are joining the league mid-dynasty, the dynasty perseveres on. That would be my number 7.
Calvin, you want to go? Or you want me to go?
I can go if you want.
Okay.
My number 7 is because I want to be biased, and that would be the San Francisco Giants from 2010 to 2014.
I know what you're doing. So stop.
What? What do you mean?
I know what you're doing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
They won every even year. We won every odd year. Moosehead.
What are you talking about, man? That's not my number 1 or anything.
Oh, okay. All right.
Anyways, San Francisco Giants. Just number
shenanigans.
3 to 5 years. Just nobody, every year, nobody said they were going to win. And they just somehow.
So that's the hallmark of a dynasty. Every year people thought, and every other year they were terrible. What a dominant force. I guess
that's a great dynasty.
Great dynasty. Checks all the boxes.
Yeah.
My number 7 is where I actually put McLaughlin Truck and Trailer. Having a front row seat to their run of excellence, where we lost to them a couple of times in the semis. I will say we did beat them in the finals. So, yes, for all the reasons that we've talked about, McLaughlin Truck and Trailer, I have number 7. Calvin, you want to go number 6?
Number 6, sure. I will. This one's more of a recent one, and I'm going with the Tampa Bay Lightning. 3 Stanley Cups in a row, 4 Stanley Cup Finals in a row. They have been conference finals, I think, 6 or 7 years in a row. They lost, or 6 out of 7 years, I think they lost the first round to Columbus, one of those years. That weird year that Columbus just went nuts. So that was mine. A little more recent, but I think it's a good dynasty they got building, even if they don't win in a couple of years or whatever. But 3 Stanley Cups in a row, pretty good.
I don't know. Am I taking this one, Tommy, or you? You go ahead.
Don't remember. I don't remember. I think you were supposed to double up. You were supposed to double up on 6.
Yeah, whatever. You can go.
Snake draft. Skip your pick. All right.
Snake draft.
I don't
Oh, I
even know
can't
if I'm
wait.
allowed doing this. Go ahead.
No, I
What?
just can't wait till draft nights. I got like 3 hockey pools and 2 basketball pools. I can't wait till draft night.
Speaking about basketball, I don't know if I'm allowed doing this, but LeBron James, just period. 2 things. One,
I don't know
he
if you-
has an empire around him. But when you can go from the Cavaliers to the Heat, back to the Cavs, to the Lakers, and instantly every team, I mean, we're in the twilight of his career, I get that, but instantly every team's not only competitive, but you find yourself in the finals year after year after year after year after year, and you basically own a decade's worth of either finishing number 1 or finishing number 2 consistently. You are a dynasty. And I don't believe him to be the best player to ever play basketball, but I do believe that the degree of difficulty of basketball is easier now than it was in the 80s and 90s, but the level of athlete that plays the game today and the way that the athletes who are playing are sheltered until the time that playoffs comes around, completely unrivaled. So the best athlete playing against other very good athletes, and every year he's in the finals. Got to give it to him.
I'm not a LeBron fan. I don't question his greatness as a player. I just and again, you don't hear anything about him off the court other than doing wonderful things for the community. You know, married his high school sweetheart. All of this stuff. I just don't like the antics on the court.
No, I don't
drives
like the
me
way.
fucking
I don't like
nuts.
the way he plays. No.
I'm sorry, you're 6'8", 280 pounds, yet you think if he gets hit, he gets thrown into the 3rd row. Like, come on, like, I don't know.
And I also don't like the fact that, listen, buddy, you are good. You are almost great. But the fact that you have basically 2 to 3 years left in your career, you're taking a 2-year, $97 million contract. You do not need that money. You can take half of that, get them to pay you royalties of whatever to pay your contract, and at least find 2 or 3 more guys that are young superstars that you can actually develop.
The problem is
ruining leagues.
Well, the problem is the NBA bargaining agreement does not allow for things like that. That's the problem. It's not
football. It's not Tom Brady taking a
right. The bargaining unit for the NBA is one of the strongest bargaining units out there, and they have gone ahead and created this system that allows or forces a team to do max contracts. You can't do, you know what, Calvin? I know how great you are. I'm going to give you, even though I know I'm supposed to give you 30 million. I'm only going to give you 10. Well, it doesn't. The bargaining units don't allow that.
Well, yes.
It's foolish, but I get it. My number 6 is where I put San Antonio Spurs from the late 90s to 2015-16. Tim Duncan. I mean, for all that Calvin had mentioned between Duncan and Robinson, and all of them, Popovich, they were tremendous. So, number 5 is where I have Alabama football from 2009 till now. I am not a Saban fan. I don't like Nick Saban. But damn, you cannot say anything about what he's done for Alabama football in the last 13 years.
Yeah, there's no debate there.
No. Nope. Tommy, what you got? Number 5.
Number 5, I call them the golden era Celtics, but Larry Bird Celtics, basically. You have a team that had basically a lineup of Hall of Famers, and won everything there was to win, competed, and played basketball in arguably the most physical era of basketball, in a market that's notoriously hard to win over a fan base. Boston's not a community that, I mean, yeah, the Patriots kind of did it, but you don't win over downtown Boston so easily. And yet they're able to establish themselves and beat plenty of very good teams on the way.
Gavin, what you got number 5?
This is where I have the Lakers, the 2000 Lakers.
Good.
The Kobe, Shaq
Yep.
era, the just domination, and even when Shaq leaves, 2 more. So that's where I have the Lakers. And then number 4 is where I have the Yankees. This is where I have the Jeter Yankees, the 2000 to whatever.
Yep.
And
09.
just since that was my last baseball one, I'll do my honorable mentions just for you, Tommy.
Sure. Nice.
Just
Thank
for you, the Atlanta Braves. Just for you.
Hey,
Because, I mean, how
one
can you
title, hard to put them in, but yes,
Yeah,
14, 17
exactly. That's
straight
what I
years
said.
of
One title,
kind of
but
ball.
yeah, 14 straight. Like, how do you even argue with it?
Absolutely. Thank
That
you.
was my honorable mention.
Tommy, what do you got at number 4?
Number 4, got the 80s Oilers. All the points mentioned before.
Yep.
The Gretzky and Messier. Enough said.
I actually did not have the 80s Oilers on my list. I have them as honorable mentions.
Okay.
My number 4 is the Yukon women's basketball team from 1999 to 2016.
You're just going way deep, aren't you?
Hey, when you were undefeated, weren't they undefeated for a stretch of spanning years?
Ooh, I forgot how many years.
Yeah.
But
Like if I wanted, not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with women's sports, because I know that's where this might lead. But if I was gonna go as deep as that, I'd be going to like the Carleton, fuck, I can't think of their second name. Anyways, Carleton basketball team in university sports in Canada. They went like 12 straight years of undefeated season or something like that, and like 10 straight titles, something. It was ridiculous.
I think the difference might be, though, like every college in America has female athletes, and every single one has the ability to train, to recruit, to. I don't think the talent pool is so shallow that it delegitimizes what they're able to accomplish.
No,
I would say, like,
not.
you put that team against an NBA team, and it's like putting any college team against an NBA team, they're going to get slaughtered. But the fact that that program is able to figure out, okay, we're going to be the best at recruiting and development and, just winning basketball, and we're going to stomp on opponents' throats while we have them. I get why I get both sides of the coin, how competitive it's the field, but it's every college in America. Think of it that way. And each college in the States, not like in Canada where, I don't know how many folks attend St. Mary's, so I don't want to insult the institution, but you might have a couple hundred athletes. You're talking about campuses with hundreds of thousands of kids, like in UCLA.
Oh yeah.
So for the University of Connecticut to go and beat big programs on the regular by wide margins and not even be close to being touched, something to be said.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
All right, who's next?
I think you are for number 3, aren't you?
I don't know. Was I? I lost track. So
Sure. You can go number 3.
This is where I have the Chicago Bulls from 1990 to 1998.
3?
Yeah.
There's some. There's got to be some New England bias or coming up here. They put them at 3.
No.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I have them at 3? What?
There's going to be some Bruins shenanigans followed by that.
I do not have the Bruins in my top 10 or an honorable mention.
Good. You shouldn't.
Impressive.
I don't.
If I hear 04 Red Sox, then I'm just shutting the call down.
I do not have the Red Sox in here. And here's why I'll tell you why I don't have the Red Sox, even though they won more world championships in the 2000s than any other team. They've also had more last place finishes than So
for Calvin, that still makes a dynasty.
Well, kind of tough to be a fucking dynasty when you're either losing every game or you winning a title. So, but I do have the Bulls of the '90s with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and all of them. Dennis Rodman.
Okay.
They were. It pains me to say it, being a diehard Celtics fan. It pains me to say that they were by far the best dynasty of the '90s in that era. So.
Okay.
Next, who's got
my number 3?
Yeah.
And again, dynasty, if you want to look at it as a broad term, Tiger Woods. You have an athlete who, at a very young age, came and absolutely dominated in a way that wasn't seen since Mike Tyson, who was my honorable mention for this category. And although one individual in this case is doing all the winning, there's an entire team behind him, making sure his training's on par, making sure that all of his, everything that goes into the game of golf is easy. Yes, the Tiger Woods.
I will say this: I had Tiger Woods at number 1, and then I put him into my honorable mention because I ended up changing my concept and going with actual teams.
Okay.
But
stole my thunder because I was like, nobody's gonna pick Tiger Woods. Like, why would they even think that?
Sorry, Mike.
Anyways, my number 3 is where I'm not even gonna talk about it. We're just gonna skip it as I go. The shitty New England Patriots. I don't care. Suck it, Brady.
So why do you have him at number 3, Calvin?
Why?
Yeah, why not number 2 or 1?
Because I want to throw up if I say they're new. So they got lucky to get 3rd. They almost got honorable mentioned, just in a spite. So New England Patriots are my number 3, and number 2 is where I have the Chicago Bulls.
Number 2.
Chicago Bulls.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chicago Bulls, everything. Jordan, Pippen, whatever, everything.
I'll go. My number 2 is the New England Patriots from 2001 until 2019, 2020.
God, I have no idea who your number 1 is.
I think that's a sweep across the board. I've got the Brady Belichick Patriots number 2.
Yeah.
All right, our number 1s, folks. Tommy, lead it off.
Jordan Bulls.
Yeah, I figured yours. Yeah.
Jordan Bulls. It's the only right answer to the question.
No, it isn't. It is
We
not
prepared
the
for a
right
test.
Answer.
We prepared for a test.
Name the. Okay, Brady had to overcome Peyton Manning for the most part.
Yeah,
but
Peyton Manning still beat him. Just saying, Peyton Manning still beat him 3-2.
No, it's a different sport.
Eli did.
Eli beat him twice, but Peyton Manning finished because there's a thing that always goes around that Brady was 2-5 against the Manning brothers.
Not factually accurate.
In the playoffs, yes.
Mm-mm.
Yes. 1,000%. 1,000%, yes.
You might want to rethink that.
In the playoffs, yes.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning up against Tom Brady is up 3-2.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Factually correct.
It's
okay. Well,
the forehead is not up 3-2. So
let's
all right, Tommy, go ahead.
That for a moment. Think about all the stars that were in the NBA in the 90s. Like just from any particular year, you're naming like they're not even just good players, like generationally good players. Every year he played, and they could not compete. They couldn't contend, except for the time he left the league to go play baseball.
He didn't leave to go play baseball. He got kicked out of the NBA for a couple of years for gambling and had to go play baseball. Let's just call it for what it is. We all know
that. Not if you trust the ESPN documentary.
So here's the thing. If Jordan doesn't push off on Steve Kerr, they don't win. Not Steve Kerr. Byron Russell. Sorry. Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
So that's
you're not going to deny Michael Jordan his first championship. Again, that's a great narrative. But if you're saying maybe he never wins, he was scoring like 50 a game. You are not going to deny. I love you, Tim. I love you, but like, you just got to come back down to earth a little bit. Controversy is great. He's Michael Jordan. He's Michael Jordan.
Look, I
Yeah.
have, and even Calvin has heard me say this. I have gone on record as saying Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. I have said that, and I will continue to say that. I believe him to be the greatest basketball player of all time. Not the greatest winner of all time. That would be Bill Russell in basketball.
Yeah.
But look at the competition Russell had. You're playing against people who had day jobs. Like this is the argument.
Will Chamberlain did not have day jobs.
No, the top stars, but the complementary of the league either had drug problems, day jobs, or both.
Sure.
Yeah. The same is not true of the 90s Bulls. You're not telling me Karl Malone is bagging groceries at Superstore on Tuesday.
So I would have liked to have seen, and you can never do this, and I know that, and this is more of a, an argument, so to speak. I would have liked to have seen the 85-86 Celtics against was it the 95-96 Bulls or the 96-97? I can't remember which one. The 72-win Bulls team.
Yeah.
Against the 85-86 Celtics, who is, you could argue, is one of the greatest teams of all time.
Yep. I agree with that. I mean, that'd be a competitive series. Jordan would win it in 6 more often than not.
I don't know who I don't know who would win that series. I really don't. I'd love to think the Celtics would, but I would come back and be like, who the hell's going to stop Larry Bird in his prime?
There's no answer to that question aside from, Larry Bird didn't play the majority of his games against he never played Shaq.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, Bird never had to play Shaq. Bird never had to play Malone.
No,
Bird never had to play Stockton.
Bird had to play
Bird never had to,
and Bird had to play Magic, and Bird had to play Dr. J, and Bird had
Yep.
to play Moses Malone, and Bird had to.
Yeah.
So
you're not wrong. But then once you start going down that depth chart and you start getting into the 100th best player in the NBA, I would love to see how the 100th best player in the NBA in the 70s would stack up to the 100th best player in the NBA in the 90s. Because college sports became institutionalized in the 80s, and it started feeding stars in the NBA.
Yeah,
you had legitimate college programs grooming athletes versus people like you had walk-ons onto NBA teams in the 70s.
Yeah. Well,
if I recall, I was local, I could be like, oh, I'm
number one, but that's okay.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
Calvin, who do you got as number one?
This is where I have Tiger Woods. You're not wrong. I mean, yeah. even if you look at, like, yes, you say Michael Jordan and like Tom Brady, and you talk about these guys who dominated their sport. Tiger Woods was basically unbeatable for 20 years. Like,
Tiger Woods had more of an influence in the game of golf than Michael Jordan did in the game of basketball.
100%. It made people want to actually watch golf, to see this guy beat everybody and to see this guy make these comebacks on Sundays. And
Tommy's thinking about this.
No, they're similar phenomena. I'd say they're equivalent, because like NBA blew up in the Jordan era, golf blew up in the Tiger Woods era. I think they were equivalent phenomenons, and probably
the difference.
I would. Go ahead.
The difference is basketball really was saved in the 80s with Magic and Bird.
Yep.
Okay. And then Jordan came along and took it to the next stratosphere. The difference that I can see is golf was a white man's sport, a rich white man's sport, until Tiger came along. Not saying anything about Jack. Jack was my all-time favorite golfer. I love Jack Nicklaus. But it was a rich white man's sport until Tiger came along.
He certainly defined the sport, and he made it way more accessible.
Yeah.
He made it so that people understood. I liken it to what Kelly Stoyles did for women's bowling. People weren't aware of the level of competitiveness that the ladies were capable of until Kelly demonstrated it. And then people started saying, wow, like, yeah, anybody can be 120, even me. It doesn't matter that I don't have, or I have an extra chromosome or don't have an extra chromosome. Like that manner of thinking then applied to golf, and all of a sudden you did see over time Tiger come down a little bit, the field kind of catch up a little bit, but generational talent define the sport. There's no way not to put him on the list. I would totally wholeheartedly agree.
Again,
He's the Jordan of his sport, is what everybody would say, right? Like,
again, I had him at number 1. I removed him when I just decided. I made the decision on my own to go just teams versus
versus that's
that. I have the Boston Celtics from 56 to 69. Again, it's another split. 56, 69, and then 1980 to 1988. I mean,
hard to dispute.
Yeah, I mean, again, is some of that being Homer? Sure. Diehard Celtics fan and have been since the mid to late 70s. I'm lucky enough where I got to watch almost every game of Larry Bird's career. So, to me, it's hard not to put the Celtics up there. Now, I will say I did have UCLA basketball, the John Wooden era, as a
honorable mention.
As well as the Edmonton Oilers and
don't do it. No, don't do it.
Guess who's not in my honorable mentions? Angela.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Don't do it.
What's the reference?
The toilet seat. Their toilet seat logo.
They were in my honorable mentions. I had the Golden Era Canadians, but I left them out. Kind of the same reason why I didn't put the Celtics first. It's like the level of competition in the 50s. If you were any good, you were gobbled up by the Montreals of the world. There were really 4 big teams.
And there was always like only 7 to 12 teams in the league until they started expanding. So
yeah, and even then, the expansion teams were not even. They were just exhibition games, effectively.
Yeah.
I had the Islanders. I figured the Islanders that one fortunately would crack somebody's.
I mean, if I wasn't biased on the Giants, I probably would have put the Islanders in there.
I debated the Islanders of the 80s. Again, could they have been on there? Sure, they absolutely could have. I didn't have the Bruins anywhere near them because honestly, they haven't done anything. Yeah, they made the playoffs for 20 plus years in a row, but let's face it, it's hockey. Half the teams made the playoffs for however many years, so it's hard to sit there and
it's like 80% of the time the same 16 teams that make the
Yes.
playoffs.
Yes.
Have the 90s Red Wings. I'll just a couple more real quick.
Yeah,
Yep.
the
90s Red Wings. And I left them off because I left the Spurs off. And Spurs is the other one. They're kind of the same-ish to me. Couple titles, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had them on there at one point. When you're making a top 10 list, there are people that you have to sacrifice. There are people that aren't going to make it for various reasons, and some of it's personal, some of it's like I wasn't going to put the Yankees up higher. I wasn't going to put the Canadians on my list at all. So, and I certainly wasn't going to put like the Steelers of the 70s and things like that. So, and I definitely wouldn't have had the Cowboys like Brian would have had the Cowboys in there.
Oh, absolutely. So, since we have them on, and I mean, we have really just been looking at Brock Lesnar's crotch for the last half an hour to 45 minutes. But, a little lower than that is a nice title that I would like to have, Tommy, if you when are we getting that challenge going?
Hey, you named the. I actually wanted to match with Timmy yesterday. I figured we could. Kept on calling him Timmy yesterday, try to bait him into some kind of response, but no, he doesn't seem interested. So, yeah, you pick the day and time, man. I'm available. I'm getting a little decal that goes over it with Candlepin Bowling stuff. That way, I can just remind everybody the real Kegless champ before the world ended. Yeah. I win one tournament.
And it doesn't even get posted.
The powers that be say, okay, we got to unleash a pandemic because, the order of the world isn't right. But you know what? Called my shot once, I'll do it again. Take it anytime. Anytime. Yep. But you really, to make it fair, you should have to go through Ethan and Adam again. I'm not going to make you, but at least beat one of them. Well, at least beat one. I can beat my offspring. If you can't, I don't know why I give you a shot. I think Ethan's next in line over you. What? Me too.
Yeah.
Adam took care of that for me, and then I just did my best Brandon Marks impression, and here I am.
Yeah, exactly.
So my question, Tommy, is: okay, you can beat your offspring. Can you beat your wife?
Oh, that's okay. Number one, that phrasing was totally bad.
Shit, oh my god.
For those who might be listening, that would never happen.
Okay, let me.
But
let
can
me,
I
let me change
contend
that.
with her?
Can you, not? God, no. Can you beat your wife on the lanes without physically hurting your wife?
So the mere fact that we are together is a sign that yes, I can. And the reason why I say that is I actually won her affection in a bowling match. The way I got my first date, because I was 5 years younger than her, and I was Jamie's little brother, and she was, like a long time ago, kind of rivals. I'm sorry, it'll be quick. It'll be a fast one. I challenged her
Bill's
that
used to that, Calvin. Don't worry.
we bowled, and if I outscored her, which is a better term than if I beat her, but if I outscored her, then she'd give me a date, and she threw 142. I marked out for 147, and here we are, 21 years later, whatever it is. Still going strong. So I could do it then. I could do it now, anytime I want. But her condition she'd put on me is that I can't use this. That's how I win most of my matches. Second I start doing this, she'd be like, stop, you're embarrassing me. Why am I out in public with you? And it caused a whole host of problems. So conflict of interest there, but
Fair
situation
enough.
came down to it. We both know how it would go. In a
Fair
fair fight, no way. When you talk around the pins, I got a chance.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, we've gone way over. So the 3 listeners that are still here, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Ethan and Violet, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Get your, certainly want to thank our guests for joining us on short notice. Jill Woods, we're going to call him Jill Woods.
Lesser half. Yeah. Lesser half. I'll take that.
Lesser half. How about Jill Woods half?
Tommy DeRoche.
Tommy DeRoche.
Tommy Wood DeRoche or Tommy DeRoche Wood, either one.
No, she gets the last
Thank you, Tommy, for joining us.
DeRoche.
Really appreciate it. Definitely will have you on again at some point. As long as you have me as number 1 on something. I don't care even what it is. I don't care.
I'll invent a list for you, Timmy.
Invent a list. Thank you.
The Tim list.
Folks, don't forget, get your questions, comments, everything over to us at rippingtherackpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at Ripping the Rack Podcast. Let's see. We don't have Brian here to do our dulcet tones, so
we got OnlyFans. We got whatever accounts. We got whatever you want.
Whatever you want. Find Brian on OnlyFans because he's not here. Big Booty Brian. But you can also find us on Spotify. You can find us on Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, all the good stuff.
I mean, I don't know why we do this because if they're listening to us already, they know how to find us.
I don't know because we've done it.
Like, subscribe, and share. Share the crap out of it. There you go.
Yeah, like and share and all the good stuff.
There you go.
Be kind to one another. Mouth off a little bit, but don't hit anyone.
Go Ellen.
All the good stuff. Other than that, Tommy, thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Have a good week, guys.